Hi, this is Daniel Hopsiger. Here, some raw footage of my interview with Muhammad Atta's girlfriend, Amanda Keller. It wasn't shot to be aired, but to create an accurate transcript. I knew this information would be valuable someday. I just didn't know when. So, you're you get divorced, your husband ends up stealing your two kids, right?
Yeah, in the middle of the night.
And you don't know where he is?
Nope. And he had me Baker acted. He had this planned out. He was nice and had it planned out and pretty much did everything to where there was absolutely nothing I could do about it.
Right.
And I kind of, she wasn't divorced yet.
How old were your kids at that time?
Stephen was almost 2 and AJ was almost 1.
Okay. And what month was it that happened?
May. It was May 22nd.
Of 2000?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then you moved, and where'd you move to?
First I came up to
You must have been you must have been distraught. You must have been
I was
upset.
just out of my mind. No, wait a minute. I moved to Bellevue because I wanted to stay and see if I could find my children. And then I thought, I stayed in Bellevue for a while. Then I thought maybe I just needed to break away from Florida for a minute to clear my head. But the guy that I was dating at the time, that I was seeing, he didn't help matters much. He was an ass, excuse me, but he was an ass. We came to Cleveland. I stayed up in Cleveland for about 2 weeks, and then we came back and we went down to Port Charlotte and stayed with his mom, Sally, and his stepfather, Kurt. And we stayed there for a while till we found the apartment in Minnesota Key. And we lived on Minnesota Key for a little bit, and then Robert liked to move around a lot. First of all, just so you understand, he didn't like to sit in one spot too long. He was constantly wanting to run and move. And so we went to Northport, and I was already working at Papa John's. I had worked as a manager at Taco Bell in Port Charlotte and McDonald's in Port Charlotte. But Robert messed both those up for me. So then I got hired at Papa John's, and I worked there for about 2-3 weeks. 2-3 weeks before I met Muhammad. And I was living on Granada Boulevard in Northport at that time.
With Robert?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Muhammad came in with Peter and Stefan and Jurgen. Peter, Stefan, and Jurgen. And I told you before, I felt really, really down. I was just like in ultimate low.
Right.
Ultimate.
You're living with a guy you're not happy with, and your kids have been removed from your life.
Yeah, he's totally
Right.
brainwashing me and
Right.
being violent and just all around mean. So
Okay.
I was trying to figure out a way out without getting myself hurt.
Sure.
So Muhammad comes in, and I'm standing there flipping dough, covered in dough, baseball cap on, hair pulled back into a ponytail, probably at my ultimate worst. And he asked one of my employees to have me come over and wait on him. And so I did, and I went over there, I'm like, can I help you? He was like, do you know how pretty you are? And I just looked at him kind of funny. I'm like, you gonna order a pizza or what? And he was like, how would you like to go out to dinner? I declined, and I made him their pizza. I finally got him to order a pizza. And they had, I remember the pizza because it was just weird. It was every single condiment known to man that could be put on a pizza all at one time. It was just disgusting. I'm like, you guys are gonna eat this? And then they come back after I made them that pizza. They must have came back every day. They had to come every day, a couple times a day. And
Go ahead.
They would order the same nasty pizza over and over and over again. And
I mean, it was a custom thing.
yes, it was disgusting. It was every single thing: pineapple,
Okay.
ham, bacon. I mean, all of this gross.
So the first time you saw him, he was with who?
He was with Timothy, Stefan, Jurgen, and Peter. No. Peter, Stefan, Jurgen. Peter, Stefan, Jurgen. So there's 4 of them.
So he was with 3 Germans.
No, Jurgen's the only German guy.
Okay, who are
Peter and Stefan are the ones that I thought were from Austria, that we later went to Key West with.
Well, Austria's kind of like German. It's right next to Germany.
They had very nice accents. You know, he was one of those ones that, whatever which one say, y'all, like that, you know? When
Yeah.
you're talking about that accent,
Mhm.
it's that one, wherever that's from. And they told me they were Austrian. And Peter asked me if I had any girlfriends that I could introduce him to. And at that point, I really didn't have any friends unless they were Robert's friends, because I wasn't allowed to have my own friends. So I had a cell phone, and Mohammed asked me for my phone number. And this was after he had come in for like every day for like 2.5 weeks or something, you know. And so I let him have my phone number, and he called me one day, and he told me that he just got evicted from this house where the 7 other people were living in Northport. I seen it because I helped him move his stuff out of there. And he asked me to find him another apartment where he could just rent a room, and he didn't care as long as he had a desk. He didn't even care if he had a bed as long as he had a desk. This is what he told the lady too, that he rented the bedroom from in Northport for that week.
So you helped him move from the house in Northport to that
Yeah.
1-week rental.
Yeah, and
Ah.
he asked me to talk to him because he didn't like American women, and she happened to be the one renting the apartment. And I'm like, okay, how are you not going to like American women, but you're talking to me? And I'm about as American as you can get, you know? And he was just like, well, I don't translate very well with them. And I'm like, fine. So I did talk to the lady for him a little bit, and then he kind of took over from there, because I guess he didn't like the way I was handling it or something, I don't know. And he was kind of curt and rude with her, and she told him when the time came to pay the rent, to put it in an envelope and stick it in the freezer. So when I decided to leave Robert, it was around between the 25th and the 28th of February of 2001. And we went to Key West for 3 days.
Who's we?
Me, Muhammad, Peter, Stefan, and Linda.
Linda. Who was Linda?
Linda knew the owner, and she told me that she was a stripper, but she told the newspaper that she worked for a cleaning service.
Right. Well, Vonnie, like
Vonnie, yeah. That's Vonnie.
Vonnie owned a cleaning service.
Yeah.
So Linda, okay. How did you meet Tony and Vonnie? Because they sound. I met Vonnie. They was it just out of an ad?
Out of an ad, yeah.
Okay, so there was no prior.
Totally.
Because
white.
Tony he has got a plane. He owns a plane, Tony, LeConca, Tony LeConca. So I thought, well, what? So it was out of an ad. You met him, and you rented this
I
place.
thought it was because he found the ad, he said, and he gave me the phone number.
He did. He had you call it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So it wasn't an ad out of the paper. I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so you had known him how long at this point? 3-4 weeks?
Something like no, probably about a month and a half.
A month and a half.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I had a beat up 1981 Ford Granada at this point, and he asked me to meet him, and he was driving a rented white, I want to say it was a Grand Am,
Mm-hmm.
and he was driving that at that point, and he had me show him where the place was that he rented from, because it wasn't too far from where I lived in Northport.
Right.
It just happened to be right down the street. And we went to Key West, and we drove that, and he took this out of the way route. I had no idea where we were. I mean, it was like he trekked halfway across Florida to go down, but you can just do a straight shot down there.
Right.
You know, it took us like 10 hours to get there. You know, I was like, oh my gosh. I slept most of the way. Linda stayed awake. And we met with Peter and Stefan on, it's one of the first islands before you actually get to the Key West itself. I think it was on Largo. We met them on Largo. They had already been on their way down. They said that they were seeing Florida before they had to leave.
Peter and Stefan.
Yes.
Right.
They were seeing Florida.
So it was
before
you,
they had to
Linda,
leave.
and Muhammad driving down.
Right.
Cool.
And we drove down, and we stopped at this, I think it was Bell's Outlet, because I seen it in the window. We wanted to get something to eat when we met up with them, and it was on Largo, and there was a Bell's Outlet, I believe, and we just all went crazy and bought a bunch of clothes and shoes and stuff. So then we finally get down to Key West, and we rented an not apartment, but a hotel. We rented 3 different rooms, and the one room nobody slept in that they rented, that's where they put their flight bags and stuff and locked the room down. And Peter and Stefan shared a room, and me, Muhammad, and Linda all slept in the same room. And we went to Sloppy Joe's. That's the first time I ever been to Key West. There was naked people everywhere. We walked out on this pier, and there was this naked guy in front of me, and I looked down. I just happened to look down, and he's just bare and all. And I turned around and looked, and this was normal for them, they said, because they, where they're from, because he said he was from France, there's nude beaches everywhere. And I looked down, I was mortified. That place it kind of blew me away because it was so different. And we went to Sloppy Joe's, and we went to Rick's Rooftop Bar, and we took a boat ride to see the dolphins, me and Linda, Peter, Stefan, and Muhammad all went to Hard Rock Cafe, and they met up with people at dinner there.
You can keep back on the bed if you want. Feel free. You look uncomfortable.
I was trying to move over. She pushed me
No,
over.
go ahead. Go sit over there. And keep back. You just look uncomfortable. Doesn't she look uncomfortable?
Yeah, leave that there. And they went to Hard Rock Cafe. They said they had to meet with some people. They didn't tell me who, or they didn't specify.
Sit up. Lean up against the pillows. Relax. You'll be here a while. Just keep back. It's okay. Okay? All right, where were we?
Peter, Stefan, and Muhammad all went to Hard Rock Cafe.
Right.
And they were meeting with people down there. I don't know who, but somebody had flown in, and they said somebody had flown in one of the little single planes to come speak to them. I don't know who it was, because I was like, well, because they asked me if I wanted to go to dinner, and I'm like, no, I'm going to go on this boat ride because, I'm in Key West. I want to see everything. So I went on this boat tour and got to see all the, the dolphins and stuff. It was really nice. And when we come back, they met up with us on the dock. They was waiting for the boat to come back, and everybody was kind of somber looking. They were kind of quiet and somber, and we were walking through this deck and with all these little shops and stuff. It's right by where they do the boat tours and stuff. There's shops over like towards the left area. There's a whole bunch of shops there. It's called a Chapel by the Sea, and there's a little shop right there. I was looking at some little handmade necklaces and stuff, and Muhammad turned to me and he looked at me and he was like, why don't we get married? And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And I was like, I just met you. And he was like, well, this way I can have my visa and I can stay here. And I'm like, no. And Peter and Stefan started laughing, and they said, well, this isn't the right country, Muhammad. They started laughing. And he got really mad at me. Really, really mad at me. And I'm like, how the hell are you going to get mad at me for not wanting to marry you? I just met you. I just got out of a bad marriage. I'm like, no. No. And then Linda pipes up to Peter and Stefan. She was like, well, I'll marry either one of you two. And I'm like, okay, ho. But, whatever. So we went out, and we went by Divas. And that was the first time I ever saw a drag queen. So I was standing there talking to them, and they had their pictures taken with them. And this is on the pictures that I was telling you about with the 30 rolls of film.
Mm-hmm.
They had their pictures taken with drag queens, and when they lined up to have their pictures taken, it was Peter, Muhammad, and Stefan all standing next to a drag queen, and the drag queens shoved their hands down their pants. Peter and Stefan laughed it off, but Muhammad got really angry. He got really, really angry, you know, because he was fine with taking a picture with them. And then after that, he was really, really angry, and he was mad because I was standing there talking to the drag queens because I thought they were really cool, you know. I was like, wow, I was like, you're a drag queen, you know. He got really, really mad, and he stopped at this store that's right down. It's right in between Sloppy Joe's and Divas. It's like a Cuban cigar shop, and they were buying these big, fat cigars and smoking them, and they stunk really, really bad. And we went past Sloppy Joe's, and the bartender, I was wearing a khaki skirt thing and a purple top that tied around my neck and in 3 places in the back, and it came down like a V shape. And I had these chunky shoes on that I just fell in love with. And he called me in there. He said, "Hey, Blondie." He pointed me out, and he was like, "Come here." He was like, "Shots on me." Okay. So we went in there, and he lined Purple Hooter down the bar, and there was a drag queen on the other end. And me on the other end, and Linda in the middle, and they were just drinking shots with them. And he got really pissed about that too, because he told me I shouldn't drink in public. I don't know who the hell you are to tell me that you're my father, you know. I'm like, this is like when it first started, when I was like telling him, I don't know who the F you think you are, but you're not going to run me, you know. But I was kind of on one hand too, trying to be nice to him. It wasn't as bad as it got because I was trying to be nice to him. I was using him for an out for Robert.
Right, because you were still living with Robert at that time.
At that point.
Yeah. Okay. Now, could you find the house in Northport that they lived in that you helped them move out of into that 1-bedroom apartment for a week? Remember where it was?
I want to say, like, if you're heading from Venice into Northport, you're going to pass the thing to go off to Inglewood. You're going to go past that. There's like a gas station. I don't remember if it's Shell or what, but there's a gas station right here. And then there's a shopping plaza right here, and there's a road that goes in between. It's right in that area.
So he was living there with 7 guys? How big was it?
It was big inside. Oh my gosh, it was huge. It didn't look that big from the outside, but when you walked in, it was just immense. It was beautiful.
1 level or 2?
It was 1 level.
Nicely furnished?
Very expensively furnished.
Was it their furniture?
It was the ladies. It was the ladies, and I mean, it was just beautiful. It really was.
Why did this lady kick him out?
I don't know. He said because she wanted her house back. But, you know, she's getting, you know, anywhere from $200 to $350, $450, whatever she was charging him. I know it was around the $200, $300 area a week from 7 different people. You know.
7 people were paying $200 a week? $1,400 a week to live in the house?
Yeah, they had to pay separately for the bedroom. You were getting charged that much to have a bedroom there.
And how long did they live there, you think?
I don't know. That I don't know.
Okay, so he's already been kicked out of there when you go to Key West.
Yeah.
He's about to, and you've moved him in for a week.
Yeah.
Okay, so then who knew Linda?
When we went in to move his stuff in there, what little bit of stuff he had, we met her then. And she just like instantly leached onto everybody.
At the house?
Yeah.
They were moving out of?
No. The house, Vonnie and Tony's house.
Linda was there. Oh.